Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is the take on this Thursday morning. And wow, we finally got a little bit of volatility in the market. We've had some volatility in terms of moves, but not in terms of where the volatility index is measuring things at this point in time. And it's doing exactly the right thing. It's telling us exactly how tight some of these moves, even though there's ups and downs throughout the intraday part of things. When we go to close, we haven't really been seeing incredible movement. Now, that being said, yesterday, we did see some pretty incredible movement. Matter of fact, you look over at the Dow, and the Dow was under some pressure. As a matter of fact, it was getting pushed significantly to the downside post-Fed, and we had that move that we were down over 300 points to the downside. We did recover off of that, but still finished off about 265 points. The NASDAQ, on the other hand, was down about 100 points. It actually recovered enough to be down only about 33 points yesterday. So a little bit better recovery, let's just say, for tech and that side of things. Now, when we talk about energy, we talk about crude, we're still holding, call it somewhere right next to that $72 level that we've been pushing up towards, and we've been holding on to that pretty nicely since capturing that. But take a look at some of the names that really did explode to the upside yesterday. Matter of fact, Occidental, one of those that really stood out, up about 4.5% yesterday. It is down a little bit today, but back up and over that $30 level yesterday and even this morning before pulling back just a little bit today. So that's one of those that really did stand out for me yesterday. I'll tell you, Bitcoin trading right around that 38,000, 38,600 sort of level. That has been in a fairly, I would actually call it a very strict range of late, hanging right around those kind of levels, 38,000 and a half, maybe up towards 40,000. That seems to be where whenever I take a look over at Bitcoin, it seems like that's sort of the levels. By the way, volumes, bang, we really did hit once again. We were nearly 41 million contracts yesterday, 40.9 million contracts, the real number. But Apple leading the charge, 1.6 million, and then AMC. And by the way, speaking of AMC, you'll see me tonight on the Fast Money Report, not halftime, but Fast Money, 5 o'clock Eastern time. I'll be on around 5:30, 5:45. We're going to be talking about exactly that. All of these stocks with this short interest and what's really going on behind the scenes. Where are the volumes? Who are some of the players? All of that is going to be discussed tonight, and we'll be talking about that. It's just one segment where we're going to be hitting that and just talking about all of the mechanics about what's been going on within that trade. And it's not just AMC, and hopefully by now everybody knows that. There are many names out there. It was never just GameStop. It's not ever just AMC right now. There are multiple names, and we'll probably be covering that as well. So all that being said, we also had Tesla over 1 million contracts, and we talk about ITUB. Now, this is a Brazilian bank. Had some monstrous paper of late in this name, and almost 700,000 contracts yesterday. So that was one of the top performers in terms of volumes yesterday as well. So that just continues to be one of those names over the last couple of days where we've seen buying and buying and buying. And oh, by the way, yesterday, financials, we did see some buying on the lower end of things yesterday in Wells Fargo, in the XLF, in JP Morgan, a lot of these various names where we saw a lot of huge option paper flowing in to the bullish side in many of the financial names. So today, the uncertainty factor is something that certainly does cause a lot of angst, a lot of nervousness, and that's what we were seeing a little bit in the pre-markets, kind of that unknown. As a matter of fact, in the pre-market, we were looking at the Dow down about 50 points, NASDAQ down about 40 points. By the time we got towards the open, it was relatively flat. Early on, we were starting to move to the upside. Last I looked, we were down about 140 to 160 points, let's call it, in the Dow, but we've been slowly kind of adding along in the NASDAQ. I can tell you exactly where a lot of that's coming from. Big cap tech, which we've been talking about, seeing all that paper in Apple, seeing the option paper and very bullish paper in Microsoft, and seeing a lot more in many of the different semiconductors as well. All of that combines to looking for some sort of upward movement. We're getting some of that upward movement today so far. Certainly that's been something that does stand out. So early on, no sector was up or down more than 0.4%. And then that shifted around as well. And we started to get some major movement. I talked about Bitcoin at 38,000 and change yesterday. Last I looked today, it was trading right around 38,000 and change today. So in terms of constricted movement, that seems to have come back towards Bitcoin, at least of late, and we're starting to see a fairly tight range for that particular mechanism. So I talked about it, and let's take a little bit longer look at Apple, which is making a nice move to the upside today. Microsoft, Salesforce, we talk about big and old tech. Those are the names that are really kind of grinding it out, sort of pushing to the upside. And we have seen, as I said, a lot of option paper across the board in many of those different names, specifically in Apple just a day or two ago, where we'd seen some monstrous call buying. They were actually going out to, I believe it was the June 25th, and it was the 130 strike, and some very, very large buying back to back on the same day. Semiconductors, AMD is definitely one of them. Xilinx is another one of them. NVIDIA is another. Throw in Intel, and we've got ourselves a pretty nice grouping of some very large semiconductor companies that are having a pretty decent move today. As a matter of fact, let's just jump right into the unusual, and then we'll be done real quick. AMD, that's going to be number one. AMD hit right out of the gate. Stock was trading right around 81.60 at the time, and we had a buyer of the June 82 calls. So they're buying just out of the money calls. They expire very rapidly, so be aware of that. But that doesn't seem to matter because the stock has already made a significant move to the upside in a very, very short period of time. We're barely an hour into the day. Stock's gone from that level close to 81.5. We actually got up and over that 83 level. I'm not sure where it's trading right now. We also had buyers of the 81 strike calls as well. Those original call buyers of the 82s, those were going for anywhere that started out at 24 cents, went up to about 72 cents as the stock was starting to move to the upside. I'm not sure where those are trading right now, but if the stock is trading towards 83, you can do the math. Those options are already doing very, very well for a lot of people. Now, Macy's is number two, letter M. Now, this one's pretty interesting. I'll start off with what we are seeing, and I'll give you a little bit of background. Stock was trading right around 1840, near the higher end right now for Macy's. We had a buyer on the long side buying 10,000 of the August, so they're not staying in June, not July even, going out to August, the August 21 calls. Those are going for about 84 or 5 cents up to about 87 cents. As I said, 10,000 of those. Now, this is the part that makes this trade sort of interesting to me. When I look at Macy's, one of the things that we've talked about long before GameStop, long before all of these names out there that have been the quote unquote meme or rebel stocks, however you want to phrase that. But when you look at that, we look at Macy's, and one of the comments that we always used to make, and I continue to make it whenever I see this in stocks, when you've got the short interest level that we've got right now, and we have had for a couple of years now in Macy's, that does give an opportunity for those short squeezes. Exactly what we've been seeing in GameStop, exactly what we've been seeing in AMC. Now, fundamentally, yes, some of these companies maybe fundamentally are in a different place than a name like Macy's, but let's be honest, Macy's has been struggling for a really long time. That short interest is extremely high. Take a look at what that level is. And I will tell you, the squeeze potential of names like this do exist, and it's not just those names that everybody wants to call the meme stock. So that being said, we did have a buyer 10,000 of the August 21 calls. As I say, those were right around 85 cents to 87 cents. Folks, I hope you've got the knowledge. Knowledge is king. You got to understand the derivatives markets. As I just mentioned, we are well over 40 million contracts yesterday. Again, very, very active each and every day. It's been a great start to June in terms of the option volumes that we are seeing, and the spread across so many different categories also really does say a lot. As I mentioned, a lot of activity yesterday in the financial space as well. Keep an eye on that. We were seeing it in energy also. Folks, have a great day of trading, and we'll see you tomorrow.